After driving 8 years, I consider myself a decent driver. I do my best to follow the laws and not be distracted while driving. In this 8 years of time, I never got pulled over. I was hoping to keep up that streak because I never do anything too crazy. Well, I guess it makes some sense that I would get pulled over for what seemed to be a technicality. I thought I was doing nothing wrong, but the cops sure didn't think that. Before I go on with the story, I want to mention my comic Archangel again. I am also doing some promotional art for it in the video. If you like what you see, I wanted to let you know that it's finally on Webtoons and Tapas. It would be amazing if you would give my story a follow, but no pressure. My update schedule will be once a month on those websites, so if you want weekly updates, my original website is still the way to go. The website is archangel-comic.com if you would like to follow me there too. Thank you all for the support. Back to the story. I got my learner's permit about the age of 15. My parents were adamant about me learning how to drive at that point. I was ready to be independent and not wait for others to pick me up from school functions. Too many times I had to wait for my older brother to pick me up because my high school cheer coach decided to end practice early. Now notice how I said my older brother would pick me up instead of my parents. The deal my parents had with us kids is that they would pay for gas, insurance, and the car as long as we kept our grades up, picked up our younger siblings, and did the miscellaneous chore here or there with the car. I'm not sure if it's just my area or if it's common in the US, but insurance companies would lower the insurance cost for teenagers if they kept above, I think, a 3.0 GPA. The cars we had growing up were always older. My dad was a car guy and could fix up a beat-up car enough so the kids could drive it to school and back. My first car was a Toyota Solara. You should see that Dodge Dart video if you want more info about that car. While that car was beat up, the car ran pretty good. Gas wasn't too bad on it either. It was a V6 and made around 18 miles per gallon for an early 2000s car. As I have said, it was the older sibling's job to pick up the younger sibling from whatever function they were at. The other reason for this was because both my parents worked. They couldn't just drop everything and pick us up. They worked 9-to-5 jobs. Even before we were driving, we always took the bus. I didn't do many after-school activities until high school for that reason. I eventually learned how to drive, and to keep my car, I had to be a good kid. I really didn't speed much, and I'd actually get annoyed at other people who weren't paying attention. People who text and drive are the worst. Needless to say, I had little to no reason why the cops would pull me over. I did have a few close encounters when I was going to work, I think. A cop was behind me, and I really didn't notice. I was maybe going 2 over the speed limit, but nothing crazy. This dude then flips on his lights, and I have a mini panic attack, and I had to pull to the side thinking I was doing something wrong. Luckily, the cop just speeds past me. I had to take a few deep breaths to calm down, but I was just happy it wasn't me he was going after. Next time I saw the lights behind me was when I was on the highway going about 5 over. Really not too bad, but enough to get you pulled over if a cop was having a rough day. I was in the left lane trying to pass someone, but a beat-up truck started speeding more than me in the right lane. A cop flashed his lights on behind the truck and I instantly slowed down to the speed limit. As I said, I'm pretty sure the cop pulled the truck over because 1, it was going faster than me, and 2, he was trying to pass me in the right lane rather than the left. Yeah, I think the majority of you guys know that you're supposed to pass in the speedy lane, which for us in the US is the left lane. There are other reasons why a cop might pull someone over, but there's no way I could have known these reasons. These first few tiny interactions were when I was maybe about 2 to 3 years into driving. It would take me many more years and moving halfway across the country to actually be pulled over. This is probably a good time to mention that I probably had some amnesty with my hometown police. I did in fact have a family member that was a part of the police force, and my parents were friends with many of the officers. Oh, her plate came back with insert my dad's name because he was the owner of the car. Yeah, let's give her a break. She was only going over the speed limit by 2. I have no clue if this actually happened because, well, as I said, I was a good kid. But I'm not sure if nepotism had anything to do with it. Even when I was in the car crash capital of Texas, this is a made-up title. Let's just say I saw a lot of beat-up cars there. Cops tended to ignore me, even though I had out-of-state plates. Sad part is, I had to speed in the city just to keep up and stay out of the way of traffic. Texans are aggressive drivers, and I just had to adapt. It takes me moving again to the Midwest and not doing anything wrong for me to get pulled over. I was driving home from work about 11:25 at night, and I'm on the freeway and I see a sheriff that has a customer. I was already going the exact speed limit because the county manis are always on this highway at night. In the 8-ish months I've been driving this freeway, I've seen several dozen people get pulled over at night because of the cops. So I know better than the speed at night. As I see this cop, I think, well, he looked to be right next to the exit I needed to take to get home. I just need to slow down a ton and I can stay in my lane, pass him, and take the exit right after. I guess I was wrong for thinking that. I take the exit and there's a street that's perpendicular to the highway. I turn onto that street and see the cop now leaving with his lights on. But I just think he found someone else speeding on the freeway. I go under the overpass and see the cop took my exit. It was then I thought, he can't be going after me. Why would he? I drive a bit further, keeping my car slow because I was unsure what this cop was doing. This cop then stops me right before I turn onto my street. I was just sitting there so confused. Because my family had a cop, I kind of knew what to do at a traffic stop. I parked the car, turned on the interior lights, and placed my hands on the wheel after lowering my window. The cop comes by and I say, "Good evening, officer." Just a little panicked. He then starts with, "I do not appreciate you going so fast near me," or something along those lines. I was pretty panicked and I don't have the best memory. A lot of this is paraphrased and, as I said, not exact. I believe I answered with, "I'm sorry, officer. I slowed down a lot when I passed you." He shakes his head and asks me for my license and insurance. I ask him if I can grab them out of my bag. Before I do, he asks if I have any weapons in the car. I replied with the "no, sir." He then lets me get my license out of my Zelda-themed wallet, and I go to reach for my insurance in the glove box. For some context, we just moved to this new town about 8 months ago, as I said, and had all of our registration, insurance, titles, licenses, all switched over to our new state. I knew I had the updated insurance. I look in the glove box and the officer says he's going to run my license plate while I look for the insurance. Guess what? I completely forgot to put the insurance papers back in my car after taking them to the DMV. The officer comes back, and I tell him as such. I'm sure he doesn't believe me because I know they deal with people lying to their faces daily. I do tell him that my husband pays for the insurance, and that he could send it to me really quick if he allowed me to call him. I did text my husband before the officer showed back up to send the insurance, but it was late at night, and my husband was very much asleep. I had to call him. My husband woke up in a sweat because he wasn't used to me calling him this late at night, and he thought I got into a wreck or something. I had to quickly tell him that I was fine and just got pulled over. And he needs to send me the insurance info ASAP. We hang up a few minutes later and he sends it over. I wave the cop down who is sitting in his car and he walks back up to me. I show him the correct info and he realizes that I'm not BSing him. I apologize for taking so long. If I remember correctly, he either shrugged that apology off or said something and then went to his next point. "Look, ma'am, I'm not going to give you a ticket, but you need to be more careful next time." I nodded and apologized again, now a tear starting to well up in my eyes from all the anxiety. "I'm sorry, officer. This was my first time getting pulled over. Have a good night." And he said something along the lines of "you too" or something, and stepped away. I rolled up my window, trying to hold back tears, placed my license back in my wallet. I turned the interior lights off, turned my signal on, and drove the 30 seconds left of the way home. In these 30 seconds, I started to bawl. I knew that the officer had no good reason to pull me over, but did anyway. I walked in the door and see my husband fully dressed, waiting for me in the kitchen. Through tears, I explained the story and he just holds me in his arms. He's a really good man. I love him. I love him a lot. While writing this, my husband reiterated to me that he was scared to death that I got hurt or something. I think it's safe to say that this story still haunts us, just a little. While explaining this story to my husband and or coworkers, I realized why the officer thought I was going faster than I was. My car has a louder exhaust. It's a smaller car, and without much thought, you can think the louder exhaust means faster. It does not, by the way. The car is just louder even when idling. However, as much as I wanted to pin the blame on the cop, I must realize that even though I was going 25 under the speed limit while passing him, me being over in the right lane next to him probably freaked him out a bit. From that, he probably pulled me over. I just wanted to take my exit and get home. Everyone I talked to about this didn't say anything if I was wrong. All of them seemed mad at the situation for me. I know if you can get over in the further lane when the cop has someone pulled over, you do your best to get over. But if not, you slow the heck down. My exit was right after him in the car he had pulled over, so I decided to slow way down so I can still take my exit. You can blame me or the cop. I'm still not sure who's in the right here. If it was me, I will take the blame and do better. I just want to know exactly what I did wrong. I like to think that I'm a good driver, but I know I make mistakes. I just want to know what I did wrong so I can correct it and go along my way. Another note, besides of how close my family was with the hometown police, I always had a good image of cops. I knew many were bad people, but I thought the vast majority were good. This interaction made me kind of rethink that. Now I think I have a better understanding that cops are people. People can abuse power, and some are much better with it than others. I hope it was him just having a bad day, and he is better overall now. I want to wish the best for people. I want to end this off with a funnier story. Not long after writing the majority of the script, I was driving to work, and I got to witness some instant karma. Once again, I was on the freeway, and there was a weird exit where it merges into a new highway. It is a 2-lane exit, and I'm in the left lane because the right lane ends soon. Most locals know about this and get over into the left lane. There was some traffic I was stuck behind, but most of us knew in that lane there was a cop a few cars ahead. All of us were going the speed limit, being good drivers. Then this Ford F-150 comes flying by in the right lane, just about to end. He quickly merges over to the now connected highway in front of the cop. The cop was over one of the middle lanes and saw this dude. He flicked his lights on and pulled the dude over. I got all giddy seeing a crazy driver get pulled over instantly. After all the cops and crazy drivers I see day to day, I finally see a cop pull someone over right in front of me. Instant karma is a great feeling, and I walked into work much happier that day. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm trying to get more of these kind of videos out. If you like what I do, please like and subscribe. And if you like what I'm drawing, please check out my comic Archangel at archangel-comic.com. Thanks again and be safe out there, you guys.